Welcome back to the Polling Focus podcast. I'm Will Stroud here with a very special guest, Shaun Venable. Shaun is the head of corporate communications at Biogen RTP. She's a public speaker, an author, and a mentor. Also a coach and a friend. Welcome to the podcast, Shaun.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. All right, let's get into it. You and I have worked on a lot of fun projects. Just for a little bit of background, so I'm excited to talk to you about all the stuff you got going on in the comms world. So just tell us about yourself.
Yeah, so I love to introduce myself by way of who I am, what I do, and how I add value. So Shaun Venable, I love to say beyond the communication, wife, mother, friend, coach, mentor, and advocate for all people. So that's kind of who I am. What I do is I love to turn mission into life. I love to turn stories into something that's meaningful, and I do it in the biotech pharmaceutical space. And so how I add value is I help employees and leaders connect with that mission so that we can run through brick walls for our patients.
I love that. Great. And you have a very long history in the pharma industry and here in North Carolina. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I'm going to say I started when I was 2, but I have been in the biotech pharmaceutical industry for about 25, 26 years now. I started straight out of high school, and I started with Big Pharma, so GSK, and worked there for 21 years. I had a very colorful journey, and so I started as an operator on the shop floor. I was very curious, and so I had an opportunity to move into the technical space, the engineering space, the quality space. I love to be able to support patients, and one day something just happened with me. I said, I'm an apple trying to be an orange. I feel like there's something more that I should be doing, and I always signed up for employee engagement type of opportunities, had built a great connection with HR as well, and they said, well, what are you most passionate about? What do you love the most? And have you ever thought about an opportunity in communications? Now, Will, I'm going to have to be honest with you. I was like, what is that? But when I went out and I learned more about it and how you could really turn mission into life, bringing it into the pharmaceutical space and the biotech space, I said, sign me up. And so that's what launched my career in communications. Had an opportunity to join another amazing company, Biogen, and I've been there ever since. And so I love what I do in this space, and that's a little bit of my journey.
That's awesome. And thank you, by the way, for bringing me in on all these fun projects. We've gotten to do a number of awesome storytelling projects with Biogen and yourself over the years, so thank you for that. It's been fun partnering with you to do these creative projects, so appreciate the partnership. So speaking of storytelling, you work in a very complex scientific pharma space where things are not super easy to explain. How do you use the storytelling, especially the storytelling videos we're talking about, how do you use that to make it relatable to diverse audiences?
Yeah, so for me, a lot of the projects specifically that we've worked on and a lot that I touch in is in the internal communication space, right? It's really about helping employees see the value that they bring in this scientific space and how we're turning science into medicine and how this is helping humanity. So it's really about reflecting on, what you do in your day-to-day job. How does this relate to the patient at the end of the supply chain? Also, how does it relate to the coworkers that in the other functions and departments that you're going to be working with? And so we're able to take a really scientific, analytical process and break it down and just, in layman's terms, talk about what it means and the value that it brings, not only internally to our other communities and our audiences, but also for our patients, our caregivers, and all the audiences we serve.
That's really cool. And how do you, with the employees, how do you measure the impact that has on them? Or do they come up and tell you, hey, I really enjoyed this, or I didn't know we did this, or do you have any examples of how that's impacted?
Yes, I think for me, it's really about the value of making sure that we have right first-time performance, that we're always safe, that we're always operating in a manner that if my grandmother was taking this product that we're making at the end of the supply chain, I'm proud to do that. And so I measure impact by the light that I see in the employees' eyes. I measure impact when they said, that's a really cool part of the process that I didn't understand before. Now I have a more comprehensive understanding of what we do within our facilities. That's how I measure the impact. And I also measure the impact by people wanting to stay and be a part of something that's amazing. The company that I work at, we go after hard to treat diseases. What an admirable stance. And so when you have employees that say, this mission resonates with my personal mission, I feel like we've done our job.
Love that. That's so cool. And your role has just had to evolve so much over the years with technology and the way the workforce has changed over the years, especially in the biotech and pharma industry, right? Tell me about just how it's evolved.
Yeah. So I think about when I first started in communications, which is not too long ago. Remember, I told you I started when I was 2. But I think about how we used to have, forms of a lot of written communication. And sometimes those things are good, right? But how do you truly touch the heart of the employees that you are working to inspire? So I love the technology as far as video, short video clips and storytelling. It's really, really important. And I've tried to actually do that even on digital platforms with our newsletters internally. How are we going to tell that story using a video where you can see someone's facial expression, you can see their smile, you can see how they're resonating with the topic that you're talking about. And so I'm hoping that the industry will continue to do more of the storytelling, more of the engaging with the patients, with the employees, with the organization overall to bring those stories to life.
Very cool. Aside from your day job, your corporate comms job, you do a lot of mentoring, a lot of coaching. So tell us about that. How has mentoring and coaching affected you personally? And then how do you approach mentoring for the next generation of leaders?
Yeah. So I think about early on in my career, there were always people planted in my life that saw something in me beyond what I could see in myself. They would see seeds of greatness that I didn't even realize existed. They would see opportunities to pour into me when I didn't even feel worthy. And so because of those experiences, talk about being an operator on the shop floor with a high school degree, being able to go into an organization where they're going to invest in you and send you back to school, having people to tell you that you can do it along the way, people pouring into you from a technical aspect and also just from an emotional well-being stance. So when you get to experience that, my biggest thing is it's always good to give back. So I have this passion, right? So I'm a part of HBA, which is Healthcare Business Women's Association, Women in Bio. I just love all things people, right? And for me, it's about finding those opportunities to find the previous version of me and telling her you can do it too. And so that's what it's all about for me. I have 3 adult daughters. I have a teenage son, and I'm a Mimi as well. And what's really interesting is when I had my children, I started out young. They are all now in the healthcare sphere. When I go to conferences and when I speak, they are on the front lines. And that is just so rewarding to see. Not only do I get to pour back into my community, but the future generation that I'm raising, they're right there with me.
That's so cool. You can share it with your family and your kids that I didn't know that they were in the same industry, but that's really cool. Have you had like a couple mentors throughout your career? Have you had one mentor to kind of guide you throughout the whole thing? Tell me a little bit more about who's mentored you to get you where you are.
I have some amazing mentors. I have 2 or 3 mentors throughout my life. Actually, and they're some very strong, prominent male mentors and female mentors. But one of my very first mentors was actually a gentleman that helped me launch in the career of communications. So when I went from being that operator, technical, quality type person, and this was a very essential role, and said I wanted to switch over into communications, they helped me to take bold moves, calculated risk, and to believe in myself. And even now, to this day, I can pick up the phone, call that individual and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Do you have any advice? How do I navigate this road? And they've just been such a pillar in my life.
Very cool. Very cool. And the public speaking stuff you've been doing lately, tell us about, do you have any favorite engagements that you've spoke at lately that stick out to you that worth sharing?
Yeah, so speaking of HBA, which is a community that I love, I had an opportunity, I believe it was earlier this quarter, to speak at an event, and we talked about executive presence. And what I loved about that, people make executive presence like a big word. I'm coining this phrase. So I told the individuals in the audience that I want them to walk with so much power that the earth beneath them shakes. And what that means to me, it says a lot, right? It's whether you're a quiet storm, whether you're an individual that's just going to go in the room and ask a question and observe, let your presence be known. You always have something to add and to contribute. And it's your story. when we're talking about storytelling, no one can tell your story like you. So if you're owning your story, if you're authentic, if you're making those connections, that's what it's about for me.
So cool. Kind of like forward looking, what emerging trends or technologies do you see like transforming the way that companies in the biotech industry communicate with each other?
Yeah, so AI is going to be huge. We hear that a lot, right? But I would say if I had like a magic wand with the world of AI, it would be how do we create really cool scripts from an AI standpoint that then translate to now how we're going to tell our story and then how we're going to put it on camera. So how do we partner with AI in the space of communication and also in the biotech space?
Love it. Those tools are being built as we speak, and they'll probably be here before we all know it.
Yes.
We talk about that a lot here in our office. Just as a video company, we understand that AI is probably the biggest disruptor we'll experience in our lifetime. So we have this theory like embrace or die, because
Yes.
we see a lot of people that are going to be the boomers saying, I'm not going to use AI. I'm going to do everything, by human. And I think eventually those people, unfortunately, will get left in the dust, because AI is going to progress at such a rapid rate that we can't even really understand now at this point. But those tools will be there, and they'll be useful for the people that are willing to embrace. So that's very cool. So what principles would you say guide you as a leader, and how do you cultivate resilience and innovation in your team?
Yeah. So I'm going to use a quote from the late Dr. Maya Angelou. And it's something that I live by. People may forget what you say and what you do. They will never forget how you make them feel. And so for me, it's really important to make sure that people that I'm around feel seen, they feel valued, they feel heard, that we're recognizing their contributions. And I love to do that even in the storytelling space when we're having an opportunity to work with individuals like you, to get people on camera, to talk about their contributions to the overall mission of a company is so amazing. So I just try to live by that principle every day. I'm really big on relationship building, so I want to know how my people are doing and how they're feeling and how we can help each other thrive and soar.
I love that, and I've actually gotten to witness a lot of that firsthand working on projects with you as we interview a lot of the top scientists that work at Biogen. We've gotten to ask them some really thoughtful questions, and just watching how you can pull the story out of people that might be more type A, more science brain. I've seen you do that in person, so that's something really special that it's hard to I guess it's hard for people to understand how challenging that can be sometimes with the people that just aren't used to being on camera, or not typically seen on camera. So you do a great job of that stuff. So we just heard right before we started recording that you won a big award. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I'm excited. I'm honored, and I'm excited. So, working for Champions Cures Award is an opportunity for individuals within the biotech and pharma space to be recognized for advocating for patients, advocating for scientific breakthroughs and methods. And for me, I had an opportunity to work with our public policy and government affairs team to travel to Washington, D.C., and to advocate for the great work that we do in the state of North Carolina, to talk about the impact that we have here in our local community and how it's really supporting the mission of biotech and, again, hard to treat diseases for patients and communities that need them the most. And so being able to share my story, my personal story, my voice to represent the organization was something that was amazing, and it was recognized. And so, again, I'm honored to be amongst so many others, and I take it with great pride.
Well, that's a big deal. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
That's awesome. So as we're closing out 2024, this will come out in 2025. So do you have any big things you're looking forward to coming with the new year coming? Anything big in 2025 on Shaun's list?
So I'm going to do personal and professional. Yeah. And I'm going to say professional first so I can end with personal because it's my heartbeat. So professional, I would say really advocating for more storytelling within the biotech space, more opportunities to get voices out of employees, more opportunities to attract key talent into amazing organizations is what I'm all about, and that engagement piece so that we can continue to make scientific breakthroughs that are going to impact communities, right? That is something. From a personal standpoint, I really think it's about being mindful, I never knew that Biogen's mission would align so much with mine. So I have an amazing granddaughter. Her name is baby Gabrielle. She is our neurodivergent superstar. And it's really about helping to advocate for more families that experience that and do not have the support. And so that's a personal mission of mine. And I'm going to continue to ring that bell and share Gabby's story.
That's so awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Shaun. I really appreciate it. I appreciate our partnership working on this awesome storytelling campaigns, and I look forward to doing more in the future.
Absolutely. Thank you.